Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes for everyone to get on. I have quite a few people that wanted to be on, and unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but we have a conference today, a real estate conference. So a lot of people were heading up there. I will be heading up there afterwards. So this will be recorded for anybody that missed it. And then also, if you know of anybody that might want this recording, just let me know after. But I'm so excited that you guys are here. I'm really excited to let you guys know what's going on in the real estate market, in my opinion. I know that everybody has, very different opinions on what is actually happening in the market. But I want to share with you what I think to be a huge opportunity that we're going to be having coming up over the next couple of years, and just really explain like where we are, where we've been, where I think we're going, and how, if you are a real estate agent or a real estate investor, you can really capitalize on this market, because it's going to be a good one for the people that see the opportunity in it. So I'm going to get started. Like I said, this will be recorded. So if you do want a copy of the recording afterwards, just let me know. But my name is Danielle Damiano. I am a real estate broker associate with eXp Realty. I do not sell real estate, so I don't compete with anybody. But I do a lot of trainings and classes with my company, Believe, Learn, Achieve. I also have a membership site that I just started that I will share with you guys afterwards. I'm a mortgage broker. I have a team with Nexa. I'm licensed in Florida and Texas. I have my real estate instructor permit, and I'm also the CEO of Done by One, which is an amazing CRM for mortgage and real estate professionals built by me. So if you're looking for a CRM, let me know. I can get you all of the information on that afterwards. But I'm going to get going because I want to make sure that I am cognizant of your time and we don't take all day with this. So I want to start to tell you guys my story, because this is really going to help you understand where I'm coming from with everything once we really kind of get into the nuts and bolts. But I was born and raised in a small town in Massachusetts. Went to college in Boston. I went to Bentley University. I graduated in 2001. I got my Bachelor of Science in Business, my minor in Computer Information Systems, and I was living the life in Boston until one really cold, dreary 4th of July day. One of my really good friends moved to Clearwater, and she's like, come down to Florida, you're gonna love it. So I was like, okay, it's super like cold and rainy in Boston. I might as well just go to Florida, check it out. And I immediately loved it. I didn't have a job that I was loving after college. So I said, you know what? I'm going to move to Florida. So what did I do? I called my parents and I said, Mom, Dad, I need money. I'm going to get an apartment. And of course, right off the bat, they said, no, you're not. Like, you're not moving to Florida, but they gave in like they always do. And they ended up giving me money. I put money down on an apartment in Tampa in 2001. And I did not know what I was going to do with my life, but I started interviewing jobs, and I got a job at AmeriQuest Mortgage. If you don't know what AmeriQuest Mortgage is, it was a huge subprime lender, a nationwide subprime lender, and we're going to get into subprime mortgages in just a little bit. But everyone was in their 20s. I'm like, this is awesome. And that's how I got into the mortgage business. I read about a year later that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I was like, I love this book. I want to get into real estate. I can see myself doing this. So I got my real estate license. My husband now, boyfriend at the time, and I ended up buying a home in St. Pete. With the AmeriDream program, nothing down. Yes, they had a lot of those zero down programs back in 2002. And we were living there until my parents decided they wanted to move to Fort Myers. So fast forward a couple of years, they sold everything in Massachusetts. They moved to Fort Myers. We ended up building a home in Fort Myers and moved to this area. The market was literally booming. It was on fire. It was crazy. So we opened up a real estate and mortgage company, There was so many investors in the market. My husband had an ad on eBay. He was like, advertising lots, new construction. We were getting the commission for both, for the lots, for the new construction. People were flipping contracts. It was just absolutely insane in this area back then. And we made a killing. So from 2004, when we opened up New Century Florida Realty and the Lending Pros, until 2007-ish, it was just insane. We made almost, if not more than $1 million in 1 year. The market was on fire. Builders had people lining up down the street, to buy their homes. There was lotteries. People were making offers in 2005 on new construction homes, and then they were flipping the contracts, and they were making, $100,000 just by assigning contracts. So it was a really interesting, crazy, fun, exciting market. And we were in our young, early 20s. We didn't really know what was going on. We just thought this was amazing. So 2006, I remember being at a seminar in Atlanta, Georgia, and Robert Kiyosaki, Kim Kiyosaki, Donald Trump, yes, Donald Trump was there. He had his Trump University. Robert Kiyosaki had his real estate investing courses. Back in the day, there was Russ Whitney. There was all of these different real estate investors teaching people with their courses how to flip properties or how to get into real estate investing, okay? So I remember being at this real estate investment conference, and everybody on stage, all of the speakers on stage were saying, this was October of 2006, a crash is coming. Cash is king. A crash is coming. And they kept preaching that. Well, in 2006, it was, I didn't see anything resembling a possible crash, correction, nothing. The market was awesome. The market was booming. I did not see any of the signs, but I wish I listened to them, because in the summer of 2007, I gave birth to my daughter in August. And I remember being in the hospital room and my husband coming in and saying, oh my gosh, we just lost like 20 deals in a day. Banks were closing. So all of the loans that we had with those banks were done, right? People were backing out of contracts. It was just, everything started to kind of snowball from there. And then 2008 is when everybody really felt, the pressure. So we were freaking out because we had, several homes. We made the mistake of seeing all of these other investors in 2005 and 2006 making a ton of money, making a killing on these new construction homes, or even on just regular homes. And they were flipping them and making $40,000, $50,000, $100,000. And we were like, we want to do that too. So we started doing that with new construction homes in 2007. And then we all know what happened after that. So we got stuck with a lot of homes. I had a BMW lease that was like $1,250 a month. I don't remember what my husband's car was, but we had a condo on Miami Beach. We had, our home in Laguna Lakes that we paid way too much for because we bought it in 2006. So we had all of these things, and I had my daughter in 2007, my son in 2008, and we were literally freaking out. So my husband went and started and was like, oh, I got to do something. We still have some money left. So he bought a whole dry cleaning plant operation, whatever, which I think was another big mistake, but that's for another seminar. And I was, sitting there like, well, what am I going to do? I tried the stay-at-home mom thing. I really was not a good stay-at-home mom. So I started calling pre-foreclosure Liz pendants. I would go on every day to lead clerk. I closed my mortgage company. I closed my real estate company. I went full-time into real estate. I got started with a local brokerage. And I started going on to lead clerk every day, which is the clerk of court website, pulling all of the Liz pendants, which is a notice that you get in the mail if you're going into foreclosure, meaning you haven't been making your mortgage payments. And I started door knocking these people. So I would pick an area and say, okay, I'm going to work this area, door knock them. And my listing inventory went from like nothing to 40, 50 listings in a short period of time. I had to get an assistant. I also had a marketing assistant. I had a short sale negotiator, but very quickly I went from being flat broke to making a lot of money just by working the pre-foreclosures. And we're going to talk about real estate booms and busts in a minute, but what I want you to understand is that every market has a different opportunity. And it's almost like that book, Who Moved My Cheese? You need to go to where the opportunities are. And you also have to have foresight as to where everything is going, because sometimes you're the last one in and you never want to be the last one in. Very similar to we were the last ones in with the home building, and then we ended up getting, screwed in the end. So you want to make sure that you're having foresight. And that's why I think right now is such an important time to go over what we're going to go over today. So anyways, started working the pre-foreclosures. When that market dried up a little bit, I started also calling on expired listings, because our inventory at the time, 2011, 2012, I mean, we had a ton of inventory, 16, 17 months, especially in the condo market. So 2012, the summer before 2012, I am very sporadic, and I was at the Marriott in Miami, the JW Marriott, sitting at the rooftop pool. And I saw all of these condos around me, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like there's gotta be at least 100 people that wanna sell their condo right now. Let's just move to Miami. So we did. We picked up a couple of months later. We sold our home in Fort Myers, moved our entire family to downtown Miami, and I just started cold calling expired listings. I got my first listing 30 days, and I built my business very quickly in Miami from cold calling expireds. So the pre-foreclosure was the first thing, the expireds was the second thing, and you can do them together, okay? One of the things that I want to point out right now before we get into everything is that if you pick a niche, whether you're a real estate agent or a real estate investor, and I like the listings because we have more control, especially with what's going on right now in the market. But if you pick a niche like this, you can create a team and a system, and you can do this from anywhere in the world. Once you know how to, not world, I'm sorry, anywhere in the US. Once you know how to work these markets, you can have a team to help work it for you. And you can literally pick yourself up and move to another area and start generating business immediately. Okay. So that is my story. We moved to Miami in 2012. In 2016, I was feeling a little not homesick, but I just wanted my kids to be around my parents and like grow up with grandparents. So we ended up moving back to Southwest Florida. And at that time I went back into mortgage, but I teach a ton of classes on real estate. I have a lot of exciting things coming up. It's a huge passion of mine. And that's kind of like, where we are right now. But I wanted to explain that story to you because I want to show you guys what's going on and give you a little background on me as to why, I see what I see. So that was from 2001 until 2000 and today. But one of the things I want to mention is that I started seeing the signs. And I remember after 2008, I was like, oh my gosh, it dawned on me. I remember Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki talking about a crash, and I didn't believe them. And I didn't even do anything to try and see what they were talking about. But then I'm a very reflective person, and I started reflecting back on, well, what were the signs, right? And so in 2021, I started seeing a lot of the same signs here. Builders who went from, building these new construction communities went from, regular commissions to hardly paying out real estate commissions. There was lotteries, there was people lined up to buy these lots. Home buyers were paying $50,000, $100,000 over ask. All of that happened back in 2005, right? The same exact thing happened. So if we look at what the signs were in 2006 that a lot of the economists saw, that a lot of the investors saw that we were not paying attention to, there was a rapid increase in interest rates. inflation, we had subprime mortgages coming due, there was a spike in housing sales and prices followed by a quick decline. And then builders were offering at one point, low commissions to then builders giving major incentive. I just saw a builder giving away a Porsche if you sell the penthouse right now. Like, that is insane. Builders are paying 6% commission. They're offering all of these incentives. Were they doing that in 2022? Absolutely not, right? So they went from like basically offering normal commission to offering nothing because it was supply and demand, and they had so much demand for their product, that demand has gone away. And now they're back to giving all of these major incentives again. The same things happened before in 05, in 06, in 07, in 08, in 09. Right? I remember in downtown Fort Myers, there was one building where people couldn't wait to get in. And then after the crash, like one guy lived there, right? They had the elevator running for one guy. We also in Southwest Florida had a very unique situation because we had a lot of Chinese drywall. So because they were building so rapidly here and they were getting drywall, like they needed so much drywall, well, all of the China drywall, the drywall that came from China was ruining houses and causing like major health challenges for people. Now, a lot of people thought of that as a terrible thing. The house I'm sitting in right now today had Chinese drywall. I got this house, we stole this house. Okay, so there's people out there that can look at it and look at these types of things in a negative light or in a positive light. And I want you guys to understand that we are on the brink of a huge, huge, huge opportunity if you see and understand the markets, if you see and understand where we're going, and more importantly, if you're willing to put in the time and do the work to make a killing in this market, because we only have short periods of time. So I'm going to get into the history of, housing markets, booms, busts, things like that. But before I do, I just want to let you know, if you are an analytical person, you're going to love this. If you are not an analytical person, stick with me until the end, please, because I am not an analytical person at all, but I have to explain this to you guys so you guys can really understand everything. And I am so passionate about this. In 2021, I wrote a book, Short Sale Secrets Unlocked, because I saw it coming. And I'm like, I want to let people know what's about to come. And then I kind of waited until I started to push this out, because now I think is the right time. Back then it wasn't the right time, but I think people are going to start to understand and see that now is 100% that right time. Okay, so at the end, I am going to offer you guys a course, a master class that I'm doing called Certified Foreclosure Avoidance Specialist. But there's going to be a huge bonus for that class that I'm super excited to tell you guys about. So just stick with me a little bit. If you're not analytical, I promise you it's going to get good. But I just want you guys to understand everything. So as we can see, markets are cyclical. And I never really understood that in my mid-20s, because obviously I've never really been through anything like 2008 before in my life, right? So we are always going to have booms and busts. We're always going to have recessions followed by a growth period. It's always going to peak, then it's going to start declining, and then we're going to have a recession or a correction, and it will always go like this, okay? Nothing is ever the same. So obviously, if we understand that, we know that at some point a crash is going to come. So these are just a couple of the major market crashes over the past, couple hundred years. So there was the Panic of 1837, the stock market crisis in 73, the Great Depression, which everyone knows about in 1929, and then the major housing bubble that burst in 2008. But there was a lot of other ones in between that. So I'm not going to get into what each of these are, but what I am going to say or show you guys is what has the common theme in all of these booms, busts, recessions, or corrections. So the Panic of 1837, both domestic and international causes cause that. So we never really know what is going to cause a real estate bubble or a real estate crash or correction. But lending standards, interest rates, and the rapid increase of land or property values are all things that have in common. So there was speculative lending standards, there was a land bubble that was on the edge of bursting, and then there was a decline in cotton, and all of those had a huge impact on the economy in 1837. But this is what happened. Banks began to suspend payments and loans, right? Credit started restricting, and they entered into a recession that lasted about 7 years. It caused banks and businesses to close their doors. It caused a lot of unemployment, okay? And it also caused a lot of people to go into foreclosure or default on their loans. The next is the 1873 stock market crash. So even though it was a stock market crash, right? What happened because of the stock market crash, they had credit contraction. So limited access to loans. Businesses, builders, people need loans to grow their business. They don't do everything with cash on hand. So if banks are contracting what they allow or they're lending, right, then that is going to have a huge effect on the economy. And that created an economic downturn, declining incomes, and then it suppressed housing demand, which led to decline in property valuation, widespread foreclosure, and a very challenging housing market. The Great Depression, which a lot of people will say 2008 was very similar to this, but this was the crash of Wall Street, right? And in 2008, yes, we had a lot of banks go under because of the subprime mortgage market. But I'm going to show you something in a few minutes. It's extremely interesting that you guys really need to know, because I know there's so many people out there that are like, oh, everyone's got equity, no one's going to go into foreclosure, da, 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 da. Just wait until I show you what's actually about to happen, okay? So prices fell 67%, bank lending decreased, but just 10 years before this, they were in a huge booming market, especially in Manhattan. So their market was booming for 10 years, and then it says the same market lost over half of its value by the end of 33, and it took until 1960 for them to finally recover. So the housing bubble in 2008, from June 30th, 2004 until June 29th, 2006, the Fed hiked rates over 100 basis points in such a short period of time, okay? So they went from 1.25% all the way to 5.25% to try to put off inflation. But what happened was when rates went up so high, right, then this created lending, borrowers, they can't afford to buy an inflated house price at inflated interest rates. So the supply and demand wasn't there. The demand wasn't there anymore because buyers couldn't buy what they wanted to buy. The other problem was all of the subprime mortgage loans that we're going to talk about here in just a second. So we just saw that history repeats itself, right? Real estate prices tend to operate in 18-year cycles, right? Going up, down, and it's been almost 16 years since 2008. So if they kind of go in 18-year cycles, where do you think we're heading over the next couple of years? We saw a spike in prices. We saw all of the builders with their lotteries and, hardly any commission payouts. We saw going from 2%. I locked in a veteran at 2.25% on a VA loan, right? From going from that to like 7.5%, 8%. It's crazy in a short period of time. So interest rates and mortgages also play a huge part in what's going on in the real estate market, as well as in housing booms and busts. So let's take a look at like what was going on pre-2008 to what's going on now. So if we look at this chart here, this is the CMT down here, as well as the LIBOR. And we can see that it was pretty, steady up here from like 1995 until 2000, but it started dropping. So people from 2001 all the way to about 2006 had pretty low interest rates. The other thing that was going on then, they made very easy loans. So it was very easy for people to get loans. And then in 2006, they started rapidly increasing the interest rates here. But there was a very good period of time where the loan interest rates were super low. Think about 2020, right, until 2022. We had super low interest rates, and then interest rates went up. So if we look at the federal fund rate from 04 to 06, and I told you, all of you analyticals, just stick with me for a minute. We're almost through this. I'm sorry, not analyticals, the expressives and the drivers. So in June 30th, 2004, it was only at 1.25%. That's 2004. By June 29th of 2006, it was at 5.25. So that's exactly like where we're at now, 5.25 to 5.5. So from 04 to 06, it went from 1.25 to 5.25. That is a rapid increase in interest rates, which causes people not to be able to purchase what they want. But what was also happening during this time? Prices were going up, almost doubling. I mean, I remember when we worked for, we had some investors that were buying KB homes in Cape Coral for like $200,000 and assigning these contracts before the properties were even built for $100,000. Okay, so they were making $100,000 on an assignment of contract, not even closing on the deals. So we see here from 04 to 06, interest rates rapidly increased. Look at what happened from 2022 to 2023. March of 2022, we were at 1/4 to 0.5%. To 5.25 to 5.5%, which is where we're at now. Okay, so look at how quickly these interest rates have increased over the past 2 years. Okay, March of 2022 to March of 2024, we're still right here. So we see that before the other crash of 2008, one of the reasons was an increase in interest rates, but also an increase in home value. So that decreases the demand because people can't buy what they actually want to buy. And then remember all these people, right? They're in at the lower rates. They don't want to sell their homes. So once again, that was the 2022 to 2023. And now I'm going to talk about the inverted yield curve. Okay, so I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't know like a whole lot about this stuff. But what I do know is that all economists predict a recession many times based on yield curve inversion. And we can see that for the past 60 years, there was an inverted yield curve before a recession. So this chart shows you that in 68, April, 19 months later, there was a recession, March 9th, there was a recession. So these are all of the times when there was a date of inversion. And then this was the time to when the recession happened. This is what's so insane right now, okay? If we look here at June 8th, 2006, that is when the yield curve inverted. 17 months later, that is when the recession happened. So we're talking about like the end of 2007, right? Right now, as of August 14th, right, 2024, this is when I got my stats from, we have had an inverted yield curve since July 5th of 2022. This is the longest yield curve inversion ever in the history of the United States. There has never been an inverted yield curve as long as what we have going on right now. And this is one of the big factors that economists say they consider this a signal that a recession is on its way. So for all of the people out there that want to think we're not going to have a housing correction, right? First of all, markets are cyclical. Second of all, we see what happened in interest rates and how quickly they went up. We see what the demand is right now, and I'm going to show you guys that in just a minute. We have the yield curve inversion for the longest in the history of the United States. A lot of people do not know what the cause of a housing market correction or recession is going to be. Nobody has a crystal ball, right? So if we look at 1929 or the other year where the stock market crashed, which caused, all of the major recession, who would think that that was going to be what it was, right? So we never know. But they all have the same signs to what we're seeing today. So the subprime mortgage was another huge thing. If you don't know what subprime mortgage is, I can tell you because I worked for a subprime mortgage company that is no longer around. They were making a killing. I mean, we had so much fun. We had parties all the time. They flew us out to Caesar's Palace for a week. Like it was awesome. But what subprime mortgages are basically like people with bad credit that are willing to go in a higher interest rate. And a lot of these mortgages were also 228s and 327s. So what that means is they were adjustable rate mortgages. They were fixed for 2 years and then they would adjust for the next 28. The 327s means they were fixed for 3 years and then they would adjust for the next 27 years. But let me ask you a question. If they got a mortgage, a 228 in 2004, and the interest rates went up so high over the 2 years that they were in that fixed 2-year arm, by the time it adjusted, right, they went from, let's just say 5.5 to 7.5. Do you think they could actually afford that payment? Many couldn't. And a lot of the subprime mortgages had these 80-20 mortgages, an 80% first and a 20% second. So you could get 100% financing. Well, if you got 100% financing in 2006 and your mortgage value or your property value decreased in 07 and in 08, do you think you can go and refinance if you needed to because you needed to get into that lower mortgage? No, because now you owe more than what the house is worth. You can't even refinance, right? So this subprime mortgage market is one of the major factors that caused a lot of banks to collapse because people couldn't make their mortgage payments. We saw interest rates go up so high. They went from a super low rate. Now they have to be in a higher rate. They need to refinance, but they can't because they owe more than what the home is actually worth. So they can't make their mortgage payments anymore. So now that they're going to go into foreclosure. Okay. And this happened to so many people nationwide. And I know before people would be embarrassed, but it was like, this is a normal thing. Oh, foreclosure, you had a foreclosure, you had a short sale. This is a normal thing because of what happened that nobody really thought about. So let me show you what's going on today. Okay, so we don't do subprime mortgages anymore, but that being said, we do have 100% financing. What about the Hometown Heroes loan, right? They're giving these people money to put down on the house because half of them don't have the money. And if things happen, which I've been watching this, right? Somebody that was not in a flood zone, they redid all the flood zone maps. Now they're in a flood zone. Now they have forced place flood insurance and they can't pay that. So what does the lender do? They force place flood insurance on them. And now they owe the lender that money for the flood insurance, but they can't afford the increased payment. So then what happens? The lender has every right to default on them. I just got a call from somebody else recently. I did their loan before. He lost his job. He couldn't make his payments for 6 months. He was with Chase. Called Chase and they did a forbearance. They were going to tack it on to the end of the loan. He owed $15,000 to Chase. The other thing that happened is that his insurance went from $4,200 to $8,400 a year. He cannot afford that. He can barely afford his payment right now because he got a new job and blah, blah, blah. So Chase sold his mortgage recently and he gets the mortgage statement and on there, he owes $15,000 to this new lender. So he calls me and he says, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, you got to call the lender and let them know that you had already worked out a forbearance with Chase. So what did the lender say? Well, where's the documentation showing that? he doesn't have it. He never got it in writing. They just agreed to do it and they were doing it. But here's the other thing, and I see this happen to so many people. I said to him, you need to check your credit report, because if you haven't been making the payments for the past, 6 months, or even if you are making payments, but you're not fully caught up, right? Because you still owe that money. I guarantee you they're marking you late on your credit report. Sure enough, he has 12 mortgage lates on his credit report, even though he's making the payments, but he's not making the full amount that he owes. So those types of people, and banks know he has $300,000 in equity in his house. Banks know that right now. So you know what they want? They want the house, because they can go and put it on the market, right? And get all of that money. And so when a servicer takes over and you had an agreement about your, forbearance or whatever, that doesn't always stick with the new servicer, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I know there's so many people out there that will say, oh, people have equity, this, that, the other thing. Do you know how many calls I've been getting that people have already refinanced? They were in that low 3%, but they racked up their credit cards that are at 30%. So they refinanced to pay off their credit cards. And now they want to refinance again, but they can't because they don't have enough equity, right? So all of this stuff, or you don't make your mortgage payments, or you have forced placed insurance because your insurance went up, or forced placed flood. Well, guess what? All of the interest, every payment you haven't made, all of those are tacking up. And guess what people do when they are put in a situation like this? They do nothing because they don't know what to do. So they're scared, right? So this is how you can come in and help them. Sorry, I just went on a little tangent, but all of those people out there that are going to tell you, oh, since 2008, it's not going to be like that. I'm not saying it's going to be like 2008, but I'm telling you 100%, we are on the verge of a correction, a recession, of something, and you have the opportunity to capitalize on that and make a killing. So this is what's going on in the market right now that many people do not know about. We have $4.7 trillion in US commercial real estate debt. It went from 659 billion loans that were due to 929 million. Why? Billion. Why? Because in 2023, there were so many commercial loans due, but they could not refinance or pay off their loans. So they went and did a loan modification, and now that's been held off until 2024. And I want you guys to think about this. Commercial loans are short-term loans, right? So let's just say it's a 10-year loan that they got in 2013 at a very low rate. And look at our interest rates now. So that 10-year loan is now due. And the only way they can get rid of that 10-year loan that's due is to either refinance or sell the property, right? So look at commercial real estate. How many offices are no longer fully packed with people because after COVID, everyone wants to work from home. No one wants to go back to the office. So now we have all of this commercial real estate, many of it that's vacant. These landlords or whatever, right? They cannot get the income from the tenants to make their mortgage payments. So they're going into forbearance or they're going into loan modifications and different things like that. And now in 2023 and 2024, we have a huge amount of commercial real estate mortgages that are due that these people cannot pay off. So let me ask you a question, okay? If these banks are reliant on the interest, if these banks are reliant on the mortgage payments from these commercial real estate, owners, and they can't get the money, what is going to happen to the banks? They're going to start to restrict their credit lending because they don't even have enough money to lend. Banks are going to go out of business. Okay, we are going to see another big thing So just because we're not dealing with subprime mortgage, so when I hear people say, oh no, in 2008, there was all those subprime loans and people, they gave loans to people that couldn't afford them. That's not always the reason why we have a market correction or a recession. Look at what is going on right now with commercial real estate loans. They were in low interest rates. Now they got to refinance, but they don't even have enough people in their buildings to get enough money. And if they do refinance, they're refinancing at a much higher interest rate than where they were at before, but they don't have the people in there to pay them at the lower rate. How are they going to pay them at the higher? You know what I mean? So this is huge. And this is why not only am I, watching all of this, the research, but Gary Schilling is an economist. He predicted the 2008 housing crash. He predicted the 2008 housing crash, I believe in like a year or two, maybe longer, I don't know, before it even happened. So what is he saying right now? He said, I think the biggest bubble right now is commercial real estate. He forecasted the 2008 crash. He's saying that isn't the magnitude of subprime mortgage bonanza, right? But I think it's a bubble which is beginning to crack. If you go back and Google Gary Schilling 2008 housing crash prediction, he didn't say that the housing market in 08 was going to completely crash. He said something very similar, okay? So this is a bubble that's beginning to crack is what he's saying right now. Once it does crack or crash or whatever, he could change his outlook on everything. But he's already predicting this. So here's the thing. When there starts to become a default among borrowers, people are maxing out on their home loans or even on their credit cards. People maxing out their credit cards. People maxing out their equity. There is also a fear of property decline or recession. What happens? Creditors start to cut the lines on credit and banks stop lending. They start getting extremely strict. I had a commercial deal where I was talking with the guy, it was a big project, and he said, listen, Danielle, we were lending 75% about 6 months ago. We're at a 60% now. We're not lending 75% anymore because we see what's going on. We see where the market's going. So the lenders and the banks are starting to cut back on what they lend, right? They're going to start to get stricter. I don't know if you remember back in 2007, but if you had a home equity line of credit, let's just say it was at $100,000, you had a HELOC and you had available credit there, so you only used 50,000, banks were coming in and cutting those lines, okay? Oh, we know you have $100,000 home equity line of credit and you only used about $50,000 of it right now, but we see what's going on in the market, so I'm going to cut it from 100,000 down to 50. The same thing is happening with credit cards right now. Credit card companies are going in and saying, oh, I know you have $8,000 in available credit. This just happened to me, but we're going to cut the line. I've never once been late on that credit card and I've had it for 19 years. I haven't been late on any credit cards. Okay, so they're just coming in and cutting lines of credit. And if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to start to see it. But how can us as business owners grow our business if there's no credit available? So businesses are going to start to go out of business. Banks are definitely going to be hurting, the ones that are, holding the notes for all of these commercial loans. So all of the signs are there. Let's look at the builders in 2008 and the builders in 2024. And we already talked about this. So builders were paying normal commission to realtors in the beginning, 2004, everyone's happy. Then it was like crazy, the wild, wild west, because it was lotteries and, oh, we're only going to pay 1% commission, and people were lining up at the courthouse and, not courthouse, at the, builders to get lots and this and that. They're holding lotteries for lots and condos. They're offering it. And then what happened? They all dried up. They're offering huge incentives to realtors and home buyers. We had whole communities that homes were literally abandoned, okay? It was almost like a ghost town. So much so that in Southwest Florida, there was a bus tour from people all over the nation coming here, going on these foreclosure bus tours, driving around and being like, I want that house, right? Because there was so many homes available and they were so incredibly cheap. So, among its many ill effects, the credit crisis virtually dried up construction funding. This was back in 2008 for home builders. And without the financial backing to finish the subdivisions, generate cash, many builders were forced into bankruptcy or liquidation. Okay, so that started happening to a lot of builders. What are we seeing now? I can't even tell you how many times this home just went pending, but this is sold as a 3-home deal. Okay, this is an unfinished home. They have 3 of them that this builder started and cannot complete. You can go find these on the MLS, and another place you can find them is if you are signed up for any wholesaler sites like Investor Lift or whatever. We're getting these emails all the time from these builders that have a shell of a home, but they literally cannot finish them because they don't have the money to finish them. So if we look back in 2007, Trump was excited for a crash. I told you he was at that real estate convention. He had all of his books and CDs and everything in the back. He had an entire real estate investing course. In 2007, he was excited. He was saying, I know. In 2006, he was saying it's coming. And in 2007, he was excited. Why? Because these big time real estate investors know when to get into the market and when to get out. And when to get in is not when everybody else is getting in. When people were lining up for these lottery homes, I'm like, here we go again. This is not the time to buy. It's not. But nobody else sees that, especially if you're not in the market. So Robert Kiyosaki, once again in 2006, he was on that same stage telling us the market is going to crash. Cash is king. Watch what you're doing. Did we listen? No, we did not. We were like, no, this guy, what the heck's he talking about? So July 20th, 2004, look at what he's saying. The best time to get rich is approaching. Real estate markets are crashing. If you don't learn how to make money in your sleep, you'll never be rich. But listen, bad times are coming. He says, and the brave, the smart, the courageous, and the open-minded will grow richer and wiser. So now is the time for you to understand how to work these markets and capitalize on them. Grant Cardone, he's all over right now. He warns of the biggest real estate correction of his life. He was around in 08, I'm pretty sure. He sees tremendous opportunity for some. He wrote, that was July 18th, 2024. Why for some? Because a lot of people won't see it and they won't take advantage of it, or they'll just do nothing. They know it's coming, but they don't want to do the work to change, to literally change their entire lives and their entire family's lives over the next couple of years, because it's not easy. Right? This is not going to be easy, but it's a hell of a lot easier than selling real estate was in 2022 when you're writing 500 million different offers, praying that your buyer gets one. So this, if you learn it, if you work it, I'm telling you, it is a huge market opportunity. So once again, Grant Cardone, July 18th, 2024 in Yahoo Finance says we're going to have the biggest real estate correction we've ever had in the next 12 months. It'll be a monster. It will hit Gen Zs in a way that they'll never touch that asset class again. What he's referring to is commercial real estate. The implications of major real estate downturns are profound, as evidenced by the Great Recession in the late 2000s, in which millions of Americans defaulted on their mortgages and lost their homes. So Grant Cardone is predicting it. He's the newer Robert Kiyosaki, right? So he thinks the real estate is due for the correction of a lifetime, he said in a recent television interview, and he predicts a massive price correction in the months ahead. One thing I want you guys to know is that these markets are cyclical. They don't last forever. So don't wait until the end of the market to hop in on this. You're going to be too late. Okay, so what are the signs in 2024 that we should not be ignored? I showed you guys that there's an increase in interest rates, right? From 2022 to 2023, we went from 0.25 to 5.5. Inflation, commercial real estate loans coming due. Back in the day, it was the subprime. Now it's the commercial. We saw a spike in housing and sales, followed by a quick decline. Builders used to offer very low commissions, no incentives, to now builders offering Porsches and 6%, concessions and stuff like that. And I have so many more examples, you guys. Like, I can talk to you right now about the Miami condo market and what's happening with that, and the HOAs, and since the those towers collapsed and all of this other stuff. But the great thing about the market right now is the smart people are the ones that are going to make the money. The smart people that do something about it actually are the ones that are going to make the money. So we need to follow the people that are in the market every day, not the news, and our numbers don't lie. And there's a lot of brokers out there that are not telling you what I'm telling you right now. Why? Because they don't know, right? They don't take the opportunity to figure this out. So we are on the brink of the biggest opportunity to increase your market share, to take more listings, to work a niche that many others are not working, to make a killing in real estate through listings, investments, in helping investors. And I can show you how to double end these deals by getting the pre-foreclosures and getting the cash investors, and then you can double end them. And guess what? I just saw a sign of, what's it called? It said the death of a real estate. I don't know why I can't think of a tombstone. It said the death of a real estate agent, August 17th, 2024. That's not going to be you, because you need to pivot now and work a different market. You have to do something different now, because if you do nothing, you're going to get the same results. Okay. So there's two ways to crush this market. We have a limited time. So 2024 to 2027, I think, is going to be, our pivotal markets. But pre-foreclosures and expired listings which were the two ways I built my business. I have won many awards over the years. I know all of the scripting, exactly what to say, what to do, everything that you need to crush the market with these two sources. Let's look at this real quick. Okay, so this was, I pulled this on the 18th. If this is the Southwest Florida real estate market over the past 7 days, okay? We have had 243 listings expire. 243. That's a lot of listings. That's a lot of people you could call. That's a lot of people you could go after. We have 1,200 price decreases, 1,205 price decreases. What does that mean? That means that there's a lot of sellers that are still in la la land, right? Or they have an agent that's not strong enough to say, hey, listen, you're priced too high. We need to bring that price down now if you really want to get your property sold. Okay, so all of these price decreases, guess what they're going to be if they don't turn to sold? Another expired listing. So the expired listing niche is huge. I left Southwest Florida with two babies. My son was in pre-K3 and my daughter had just started kindergarten. She went to Heights for like 2 weeks and I'm like, we're moving to Miami. I moved to Miami. I did not know a single person. I did not know how to get around. Okay. I didn't speak Spanish, but what I did know how to do is work at expired listings. I knew how to get the listings. I knew how to cold call for the listings. I knew how to set up my CRM to automatically market to the listings so that I don't have to call every single one. My CRM would follow up for me on these listings. I knew what to say at the listing presentation. I knew every objection handler to get these listings. I was able to move to a completely different market and dominate the expired listing market. Okay. And I can show you how to do that also. Let's look at pre-foreclosures. So pre-foreclosures, there's 1,591 current pre-foreclosures in Lee County, 1,200 bank owned, and we have almost 100,000 cash buyers. This is one of the systems that I use to get the numbers, get the list, find the homes, do my research, get the email addresses for these people, including cash buyers, which is how you can double end these deals, okay? Collier County, so you're thinking Collier, oh, they all got money. Well, there's 342 Liz pendants pre-foreclosure and 159 bank-owned properties. Miami, we have 5,410. What if you got 1% of those, right? 5,410 pre-foreclosures. 935 are bank-owned. Broward, we have 4,566. You can work these markets even if you're not physically there. I can't tell you how many listing presentations I have done on Zoom, okay? So you can work these markets even if you are not there. Pinellas County, we have 1,468 pre-foreclosures, 301 bank-owned. So the numbers don't lie. And one of the things I will tell you is the numbers are growing. When I looked at these about a year ago, the numbers were a lot less than where they are today. I had to include Berkshire County, which is my home county, because a lot of people are probably thinking, oh, there can't be really anything in like Berkshire County. It's like such a small area. We still have 105 pre-foreclosures, okay? 111 bank-owned properties. So if we look at the market stats, and this is something, you know, that is incredibly important. And as I mentioned, if you're an analytical, you love this. This is like right up your sleeve. If you're not an analytical, you're just like, oh my God, I'm so, you know, can't even talk about this stuff anymore. But it's very important for me to show you because there's so much talk out there. There's so many people out there saying, oh no, we're not going to have a correction, or it's just going to be, the numbers don't lie. In the commercial real estate bubble that is about to burst, in my opinion, is going to be the biggest reason why. The inverted yield curve that has been inverted for the longest time in US history is another big problem that we see. The interest rate hikes, right, before 2008 and what we have right now, we see the same exact things. So history always repeats itself. And if we look at the differences between 2023 and 2024, we can see that our listing inventory is up by 4%. But if we look between July of 23 and 24, it's up by 10%. Our closed sales are down year to date by 10%. Our days on market, how long it's taking for a home to, from the time you put it on the market until the time it sells, is up year to date from July 65%, right? That's huge. So that's in the single family market. The condo market is still the same. We got a 52% increase in the condo market. And back in the day, when we had that real estate market crash in 2008, the condo market was definitely the market that was like flooding with days on market, inventory, months of supply, blah, blah, blah. So all of these market stats are also super important for you to know and for you to understand. As Warren Buffett says, be fearful when the markets get greedy, but greedy when the markets get fearful, right? So when we saw all of the builders, you know, people lining up to get those lots and paying $50,000, $100,000 over ask and all of that stuff, that's when I wrote this book. Because I was like, I see what's going on. I'm remembering what Warren Buffett said, okay? So what is happening right now? People are getting scared. People are fearful. So what does that mean? Opportunity. So are you going to take the opportunity or are you not going to take the opportunity? So that is where I see the market going. I hope I brought you guys a lot of value on that. I have a certified foreclosure avoidance specialist class coming up that I want to invite you guys to. At the end of the course, you will be certified. So you're actually going to have a well, you got to pass the test first. So there is a test. But you will have a certification. So when you go on these appointments, you can show them that you are a certified foreclosure avoidance specialist. It is going to be a live webinar, but you'll also have a digital course. And basically, what you're going to learn is everything about the real estate market. So you have an understanding. A lot of it we just kind of went over. You're going to learn the foreclosure process so you know how that process works. So that way you can help the homeowners that need your help that nobody is contacting right now because they're just not, and they need you. And I can tell you one other thing. I'm watching listing agents take short sales right now, and they're asking for help because they don't know how to work it. They don't even know what to do, right? They know they have a short sale, but they don't even know how to work the short sale. So I've seen people post on Facebook asking for assistance. That's why you need to know all of this stuff. You need to know what the different options the homeowners have because you want to be a guide for them. You don't want to just be like one of those, oh, I'm just going to list your home if maybe they had a better option. And by doing question-based selling with them, you're going to be able to get those listings a lot better than if you were just, going over there and like rushing through paperwork. You're going to know all of the paperwork that's required from the homeowner. You're going to know what package you need to get in order to negotiate with the bank. And I have short sale negotiators. So if you don't even want to handle that part, you're going to learn how you can outsource the short sale negotiations. Your fee on a lot of these, depending on if it's a short sale or not, maybe they have equity, is typically paid by the bank, okay, out of the proceeds. You're going to learn all of the parties that are involved in the process. You're going to learn the scripts. I'm going to go over the entire sales process with you, how to find the phone numbers, how to find the emails, all of the scripts to get the appointments, the email templates, the letters, the follow-up process, all of the objection handlers, because I'm really good at my sales and my sales scripts. I'm going to show you, and we're going to build your listing presentation at the home, which if you already have a listing presentation, that's awesome. We just got to add and tweak a couple of things. If you don't have a listing presentation, then you're going to be able to build one in this class. I am going to show you how you can double end these properties with investors, okay? There's certain things that you need to do, especially if you want to work with an investor to get them a smoking hot deal. And then we're going to dive into some deals because you do not want every pre-foreclosure property, okay? There's a lot of them that you don't want. If there's multiple liens, if the pre-foreclosure is only an HOA, but they're fine on their mortgage, right? So you don't want all of those properties. We're going to analyze the deals. I'm going to show you exactly which ones you want, which ones you don't want, how to look for them. And then also sometimes when we pull numbers and stuff like that, we don't have all the accurate information. So I will show you how to double up and go through the clerk of court site to make sure we have exactly what we're looking for. Okay, I'm going to show you what pre-foreclosure homes are going to be difficult to sell that you don't want. So you're going to literally be the pre-foreclosure specialist, which is so needed in this market right now. You can ask yourself, do you want to work a niche? This is not something that you're going to sit back, relax, and they're going to fall on your lap. You have to be willing to put in the work. And I only really like working with people that actually want to do the work. Now, I am not, one that loves to work. So I'll show you all the shortcuts on how you can do it and have somebody else do it for you. I'm going to show you how you can use a virtual assistant in your business to make the calls for you, to set up your CRM so that it will automatically do it for you, so that you're not the one that has to do everything, but you still have to be the one to do the appointments, right? I mean, you can hire a team of real estate agents or investors if you wanted to actually to do the appointments if they get really good at it. So you're going to get all of that. The course is $997, but I have a special bonus. So just wait a second. You'll get the script book. We kind of went over all of that. One of the other things that I have is a private Facebook group that will only be for the certified foreclosure avoidance specialist, where we help each other with scripting, with basically everything. And I just started a membership community that you will get 12-month access to that has all courses on everything from mindset, lead generation, lead follow-up, sales, marketing, taxes, tax write-offs in your business, how to set up an LLC. So that membership is $47 a month. You will get the 12-month access to it. And if you guys sign up today, I'm going to give you two things. One is the expired listing course. So it is very easy to call pre-foreclosures and expireds at the same time. When whether you're calling or you're sending out mailers or having your CRM do it or whatever, it's a very similar niche. So these two go hand in hand. So the live digital course is going to be on the Certified Foreclosure Avoidance Specialist, but the expired listing course is a digital course that you will have access to, and you are going to learn the same exact thing, how to find the numbers, what to say, the scripts, what to say at the home, which that is the most important part, because expireds does have a lot more agents calling them. So you do have to be a little bit better on your scripts, but you'll get all of the templates, what to put in your listing presentation and everything. So you're going to get the expired listing course, the 12-month membership to the vault, and $300 off. So I'm only offering this to this webinar and one other one that I'm doing. So it's $697. If you're a team, if you have two people on your team or it's you and a VA, you guys can do it together. So not like an office or me and some random loan office realtor, we don't work together, but you're an actual team. It's the two of you, you guys work together. You have a team. You guys can do the course together. You'll get access to everything together. You'll get your own logins for the expired listing course. You'll get your own logins for the 12-month membership. So that is the bonus. If you guys sign up today, it's only $697. Certified Foreclosure Avoidance Specialist, the expired listing digital course, and then the 12-month membership to the vault, which that value in itself is huge, because there's a lot of people that feel like they're on some sort of island, you know, they're not getting the support from their broker and stuff like that. This 12-month membership is going to allow you to be part of a community. And we have a ton of free trainings on everything from how to start a podcast, how to effectively network, write-offs in your business. We have a CPA that comes on to talk about how to set up your LLCs, all of that stuff. So the 12-month membership is, you know, I think a huge value. So if you guys do want to sign up, when you check out, you have to use the code CFAS at checkout. The class is going to be September. So we're starting the class in September. When you check out, I'm going to give you the QR code in just a minute. Make sure you use CFAS at the checkout, so that way you get the discount. If you have anything, so aside from the live class that I'm going to be doing, it's a webinar. We will have a weekly Q&A, and that's for the CFAS. You'll get the expired listing course, the 12-month membership access to the vault. You'll get the replay of the course, all the handouts, all the sales templates, all of that stuff. You'll walk away with your listing presentation and your certificate. And so the live class is going to be a Zoom webinar. It is on Friday. It's September 6th, September 13th, and September 27th. That is when the first one is going to be. If those dates do not work, it's still a digital course. So you will have the replays of the digital course where you can log in at any time and watch that training. You do have to take the test at the end, but even if you can't be on the last, at the last class, we'll be able to get the test out to you. So if these dates don't work, don't worry. We still have the weekly Q&As. We're still going to be a community. We're still going to help each other. You can still call me anytime and really go over it. But this is a niche that is so important, and I'm so passionate about it because I don't want what happened to me to happen to you too. Okay. So now is the time to take advantage, to pivot, especially in the market that we're in. You will get, this is the certificate that you're going to get at the end. and this is the QR code. If for some reason this is the wrong QR code because I did it like super quick before the class, let's just say this is the wrong QR code. Please email me, Danielle at brehfunding.com. That's DANIELLE at BREHfunding.com. Or you can text me on my cell, which is 786-359-7976. And just let me know and I'll help you. Like I can send you an invoice or whatever. But I really hope to see you guys. It's going to be an awesome class, an awesome course. It's going to give you guys a completely different niche that you can work, and you are going to be able to take market share and change your life and your family's life, because you're going to be raking in the dough over the next couple of years. And then you can use the money that you make, right? If pre-foreclosures dry up a little bit, you can pivot into those expired, because the expired listings are always going to be there. So that's it. I hope you guys got a lot of good value from this. I did go a little over the hour. I apologize. I can definitely be a talker, but I really hope you guys got great value. And that's my email. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I really hope to see you guys in the course. If you think this would be good for somebody else, let me know, and I will go ahead and send you the webinar. They can watch it, or they can sign up for the course if you want to sell them on it. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it, and I'll see you all later. Does anybody have any questions before we hop off?